Okay, this is my morning recap in the markets. As in my prior video, I mentioned about how we had a pretty much a global sell-off on some pretty weak data, and then we had a really good jobs report, much better than I had expected. And so I figured that would put some sort of a floor in the markets, and we wouldn't get like a trending day to the downside once we saw that. But then once I saw the opening ticks, we were they were selling it pretty hard here at the open, negative 670 ticks there right at the open of the session, and I had some trades set and ready to go, and I initiated them right off the bat. But I was trying to look to the downside, uh, even with the good jobs report. It really the morning action suggested that we were going to have some selling pressure in the markets. So, and I saw Apple look like it was wanting to push even further lower in the pre-markets. So, knowing all that, that's the bias that I did. So basically, you see the ticks. It took they pretty much hovered down here uh, in a negative territory all the way up till after 10 o'clock before we finally started getting some positive ticks. And the market is just not wanting to lift today, in my opinion. And here, our advanced declines and our ascending and descending, they were all flat to negative to open the session. So I was not trying to push long positions starting the day out, knowing that situation and knowing the global equity story. Okay. Then you also saw very even worse ticks in the Qs. With the tech having a correlation to the China issues, and it's really tech is really underperforming here. Look at the ticks; barely can push positive on the ticks today on the Qs. Uh, Now we do have a little short squeeze going on here, and we are above the VPOC. I do not suspect that's going to last very long at all here, and the event our internals were even starting out even worse on that sector. And then to finish round it all off here, we had our give me one second here. I got my chart messed up here. 5 minutes. Okay, 1 second. Okay, and we were even opening even worse here on the Russell, and it looks like it's just pretty much hovering down here near the lows of the session, not getting any type of bid to speak of in a very very tight trading range so far. Barely poking positive on the ticks, but the Nasdaq by far is the one that's showing the most relative weakness today. So I'd be very careful trying to push to the long side. We could have a responsive sell-off in the Qs this afternoon, realizing that new money isn't wanting to participate in the trading. Okay. Uh, Early on this morning, it was my second trade. Was it at what? Yeah, this one. Yeah, this was my second trade this morning. I took a short position, seeing the relative weakness uh, in the. So I right out of the gate, I got Apple. Uh, see here, see 9:30, yeah, 9:30. Right out of the gate, I shorted Apple, and it came crashing down, and had a nice little short squeeze. And then a little bit later, once I saw it breaking above my 50 SMA on the 1 minute, I did manage to take a long down here on Apple, and I doubled my money on the trade back to the upside. Got out early. I was not risking anything for where because the internals were so weak this morning. I just was not pushing my longs to any great degree. Okay, and it was a right. It was a good decision to do that. Gilead had a really nice move this morning. I was using at the time. I wasn't using the 1 minute. I was on the 30-minute chart. Yeah, 30-minute chart. I was using a 30-minute chart for my levels, and I saw it come right up and tag my Venom line right there in the morning. And I initially put an order in, and I could see it was the price was starting to back off, and it wasn't filling. And so I immediately changed my order and on Gilead to sell my calls, and I took it at market, and I lost about $150 on the trade, but there was no buyers for the Gilead options right here at the highs of the session, and that's why I cashed out as fast as I could. Had a really nice trade on the pop this morning, and it has since just completely rolled back over. And I would not have expected that situation, but I was, like I said, taking my profits fast today. And I think my charting is not correct for Microsoft. I thought I had mentioned in one of my prior videos. See here, 1 minute. What's going on our 1 minute here? What you be doing right now? Wouldn't you know it? Now it does it. That figures. Well, Microsoft was pushing out here earlier today, and it immediately found some responsive selling, and that's a prior swing high. That right here is a prior swing high price point, and it came back in here, and it did manage to come up and tag. Now this is significant Microsoft resistance right here. This is actually a shortable point for Microsoft. So if you think this market is going to fade, I'm telling you right now, Microsoft is one of those candidates that has a high odds to roll back over from here into the afternoon session. So just some heads up on that. If you're looking for a decent long setup to take a short into the afternoon, Microsoft is that beast. I had a really small position in Boeing for next week, and I had planned on adding to my position if it came down to the 335.89 area, but it found buyers a lot sooner than I expected. So, and that didn't conform with any of my volume profile things. So I'm just letting I'm a little bit at a loss on my Boeing, but I more than made up with it with my Apple trade earlier, and so I did take a loss on Microsoft today. So I had 3 winners and 1 loser, but all in all, a really nice day. And there's one I did try to look at Beyond, and I have tried multiple times to catch this beast, and my orders just never seem to hit. So I congrats to everyone who did the Mark V off the 20 or the 21. Well, you could have done the Mark V for one thing, but the 21 touch, that was just an amazing trade for you bulls and beyond. I mean, Mark was really talking it up this morning, and buddy, that beast just took off to the moon. Congrats, very successful trading today in the room, and I take my hat off to all you guys who managed to take that. That was probably the biggest winner in the room today. Okay, I will be around in and out the room. The only trades I'm taking the rest of the day, if there's any type of breaking news on the company, I might trade something like that. But for the most part, I am done for the session. I still think that we're probably going to drift lower into the afternoon session and not hold these levels. So that's just my bias going forward here at the end of the day. Okay, thanks a lot. Oh, to finish it off real quick, I'm sorry. Tesla, they're just pretty much destroying the implied volatilities. Anybody who holding this right here, you're just getting ate alive. When you trade just like this, I mean, they're just crushing you to pieces. Okay. And as you can see right here on Tesla, you still got a 94% implied volatility. So here in the next 15, 20 minutes, you're going to start seeing some major crackage in the implied volatilities in Tesla. So if you're in Tesla, you better be aware that these weekly options are in serious jeopardy here going into the next few hours. And trying to buy and hold these is very dangerous. Actually, you're better off selling credit spreads for the today's expiration in Tesla. You still can get some really good premium on these credit spreads on Tesla if you can get buyers out there to buy the out of the money options here. So just keep that in mind as a potential trade. That is probably the best trade, in my opinion, if you're dealing with Tesla going into the afternoon hours and all this implied volatility. Oh, like the video if you like it. Leave comments below, and all that stuff. And thanks a lot. And I appreciate all the help you guys are giving us in the room.